Shalom. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us his word. Basically, I just wanted to bring up this article about there's swarms of UFOs or chariots. We know them as the chariots of Israel that are over the skies of Ukraine right now. There's been multiple reports and observations of the chariots, and we're in a they're in the middle of a full-scale war, with Russia right now. So that's a major sign, from the heavens. Those angels, working on the minds of those people over there and around the world. So we're close, to this thing, man, to the end. Lord will. But this is an article out of LiveScience.com. It was dated 2 days ago, so that would make it September 15th, 2022. It's entitled "Cosmic and Phantom UFOs Are All Over Ukraine Skies. Government Report Claims." Skies over Kiev are swarming with unidentified flying objects, according to a new report from the main astronomical observatory of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. Of course, given that Russia and Ukraine have been locked in a months-long war that relies heavily on aircraft drones, it's likely that many of these so-called UFOs are military tools that appear too fleetingly to identify. The U.S. Intelligence Agency has speculated. Published to the preprint database, which has not yet been peer-reviewed, describes recent steps that the Ukrainian astronomers have taken to monitor fast-moving, low-visibility objects in the daytime sky over Kiev and the surrounding villages, using specially calibrated cameras and 2 weather stations in Kiev and Vinarivka, a village about 75 miles to the south. Astronomers observed dozens of objects that cannot scientifically be identified as known as natural phenomena. The government agencies tend to refer to such objects as UAP, unidentified area phenomenon. We observed a significant number of objects whose nature is not clear. The team wrote, "We see them everywhere." Researchers divided their UAP observations into 2 categories: cosmic and phantoms. According to the report, cosmics are luminous objects that are brighter than the background sky. These objects are designated with birds' names, such as swift, falcon, and eagle, and have been observed flying solo as well as in squadrons. Phantoms, by contrast, are dark objects, usually appearing completely black, as if absorbing all light falling onto them. Researchers do not speculate as to what these UFOs may be. Rather, their paper focus on the methods and calculations used to detect the objects. Given the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine, which began in February 2022, it is reasonable to suspect that some UAPs described in the report may be linked to foreign surveillance or military technologies. The U.S. government has openly renewed its interest in UAP investigations since 2017, when several videos taken by the U.S. Navy aircraft leaked to the media. The now infamous video showed unidentified aircraft moving in seemingly impossible ways with no explanation. The government subsequently declassified the footage and recently revealed that more military footage of UAP encounters does exist through the Department of Defense, which will not be releasing them due to national security concerns. Earlier this year, Congress approved funding for the DoD to open a new office focused exclusively on managing reports of UFO sightings by the U.S. military. The authors of the new UAP report out of Ukraine added that the country's National Academy of Science is interested in contributing to this ongoing research. So yeah, apparently this is a night sky over Kiev in 2020. So this is a picture that was taken in 2020. The sky's all lit up. But these, according to the scriptures, we know these as chariots of Israel. As we get closer and closer, these chariots are showing themselves. There's a time when, you're looked at as crazy if you believed in UFOs. Or there was a show back in the day, in the 90s, called The X-Files. You had the Agent Mulder. He was the guy that was researching the UFOs, and his partner, Agent Scully, she was a skeptic, always trying to prove him wrong. So you had a lot of these skeptics back in the day. But nowadays, it's like these chariots are being seen all over the place, and more people are believing in them. But those chariots are for the salvation of Israel. But the first scripture is Zechariah 5:1. I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. So these chariots, they've been recorded all throughout history through the scriptures. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then he said unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. And every one that stealeth shall be cut off, as on the side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off, as on the side according to it. So yeah, these chariots are a curse unto the earth, man. To the heathen, but to the elect, these are the elect's salvation. And the next scripture is Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations, perplexity, and the sea and the waters rate, from the waves roaring. Yeah, it's gonna be a time of trouble out here, man. Time of Jacob's trouble. Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Yeah, people be having heart attacks out here. That's how bad it's going to get. But at that point, this is the time we're looking for because of this. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. So there's going to be an ultimate, quote-unquote, UFO, the ultimate chariot, which Yahushua is going to be in when he comes back in the midst of all this chaos. When these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. That's why the scripture said, Lord said to look up, because these chariots are going to be the elect salvation. The redemption draweth nigh. And we see that now, both of these prophecies. Last scripture is Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from the Most High entered into them. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Yeah, this prophecy came to pass. 3 days and a half represents, roughly around 350 years from when we were in complete darkness, slaves, up until when the truth was finally being taught through Alba Bivens, the Apostle Alba Bivens. He came on the scene roughly around 1970. And from up then, from 1970 up until 2022, the word has been taught. The Spirit of life has entered into, Israel again, the elect. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up into heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Yes, when the elect gets delivered, they're going to be beamed up into these ships. And then the enemies beheld them. They're going to behold them. They're going to see it. Their enemies of Israel, are going to see the elect, getting beamed up, man, and delivered, while their fate is about to come. It says in that same hour there was a great earthquake. The tenth part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain 7,000 men, and the remnant were frightened and gave glory to the Most High of Heaven, the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So that great earthquake represents those nuclear missiles are going to touch down. In the midst of that World War III, in the midst when Yahushua returns. It says 10th part of the city fell. Yeah, all of America is going to be destroyed by those missiles, and anyone that's standing on the soils of America are going to be destroyed as well. That's why I said, the enemies beheld them while they got beamed up. Slain 7,000 men. Now, the complete number of men that are standing on the soils of America could be destroyed, in that that lake of fire. And the remnant were frightened, when they're looking down in the chariots. But they get glory unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, So yeah, those chariots are going to play dual roles, a blessing and a curse, salvation and destruction. But yeah, as we get closer and closer, man, the chariots are going to show themselves more and more. As these prophecies come to pass, inching, closer and closer, Lord will. With that, I just want to bring up this article. Apparently it says skies over Kiev, the city of Ukraine, are swarming with unidentified flying objects, chariots, by these reports from the astronomical observatory and all that. So yeah, with that, shalom.